Gareth Davies. Gareth, before I put you on the spot, I should have maybe asked you this before we press the record button. Do you do predictions? Like, if you were to go through this 5 versus 5, do you do it, Gareth? It's up to you.
I do, but also I've gone.
You've changed your mind.
I did a series of predictions for a betting agent earlier in the week before I came here.
Yeah.
I went to a workout day yesterday here and kind of changed my mind a little bit on a couple of them. I'm going to see them all today. When they work out in the ring, I might change my mind again. No, because there are at least in the 5v5 there are 4. I think there's 3 60-40s and there's 2 50-50s, or there's 3 50-50s and 2 60-40s. And then I think there's an 80-20 with Bivol and his opponent. But I'm just looking at them all. Bivol and
I would say that's a 99-1, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but no. But whenever you say that, you're not giving a guy who's undefeated in whatever it is, 24 with 16 knockouts, something like that.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Malik Zidane.
You're not giving him his due. Or
he's good fighter.
The upsets happen in boxing.
They do. All right, should we give the listeners and people watching this as well our take? We are filming this on a Tuesday morning in Riyadh. By the time Saturday rolls around, we might have changed our mind. But we're giving you our thoughts on it right now. We're going to go down the card and give you what we think today. Gareth's right. We can see them at the weigh-ins and the pressers and the media workouts, and we change our mind just on how they look, how the weight's coming off, if they're struggling with weight, etc. But as it stands right now, Gareth, let's start with the main event. It's going to be the main event. Zhang versus Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. 2 heavy hitters. Which way are you swinging?
I went for Wilder before I arrived here in 6 or 7 rounds. But yesterday I saw how slimmed down Zhang is. He's not the big shape he was against Parker, in which I saw a very close fight with him and Parker, by the way.
Yeah.
But he ran out of steam in those last 3 or 4 rounds. He looks like he's slimmed down the body fat. He looks like a stone and a bit lighter. And so I just swung back to Zhang a little bit. But then Deontay Wilder came in the room later and I had to sit down with him.
Gareth, which way are you going, Gareth? Which way are you going?
Honestly, I'm going to say out loud, Wilder mid-rounds onwards knockout. Ooh. But then I can see Zhang knocking Wilder out.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not how this game works. You can't have both like that. You can't say I think Wilder is going to win, but I can see Zhang doing it. It doesn't work like that, Gareth. That's called fence sitting.
All right, split draw. No, so I know. So Oh.
Okay, no, you think I'll give you mine.
Go on.
I'll give you mine. I spoke to Deontay Wilder yesterday and he mentioned the word retirement. And he said it. And I was like, oh, 1 second. If you're saying it, you got 1 foot out the door. Mentally, you're thinking it. Zhang I spoke to, and he is super confident. He's been in some wars, but he's been active against really good fighters. Hrgovic, Joe Joyce twice, Joseph Parker. I'm going for Zhang, big bang, to get the knockout. I'm going for him to stop Deontay Wilder and send Wilder into what Wilder called retirement mid to late.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Okay, so Zhang gets it done. Dubois, Hrgovic.
I find Filip Hrgovic very convincing. I know that he hasn't looked amazing in his last couple of performances. I mean, Mark Tamori wasn't really a big challenge for him. Dempsey McKean, he didn't really get out of second gear. Zhang he handled in a very close fight, even though I scored it to Zhang, by the way, at the time, on the undercard of Usyk and Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua 2. I think unless Filip Hrgovic gets caught by a massive combination from Daniel Dubois in the first 5-6 rounds, I think he's got it. And he'll either win on points or stop Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, I kind of echo everything you just said there. He's so convincing the way he talks, Filip Hrgovic. I haven't seen it yet in the ring, but he just convinces me with just his aura. He walks.
Yeah, his presence, isn't he? Yeah,
He walks in a room and you think, okay, this is the real deal. Dubois looked really good under Don Charles, as you mentioned. I think he looked good against Usyk for a few rounds, looked good against Jarrell Miller. I think it will be an interesting firefight for the first 5 or 6, but I'm going for Hrgovic on points in that one. All right, this one's definitely a 50-50. Hamza Sheeraz versus Amo Williams. Middleweight, 2 unbeaten kids. Which way you going?
Before I arrived, I went Hamza Sheeraz in a very tough fight on points. But spending time around Amo Williams yesterday, he's such a free-form character and so physically talented and so prepared to give it all in there. He said, I'm happy to just give it up. If I have to give everything I've got in my life, I'm giving it on Saturday night. I mean, in many ways, they are both on their way to... This almost should be a world title fight, frankly. It's one of those. They're both the biggest tests for each other of their careers. Hamza hits hard, is taller, is much more direct, is much more compact. Austin is probably a bit quicker, throws his punches in a slightly more looping way. Wow. I swung back towards Austin Williams yesterday, sitting in the auditorium at the hotel with him, and we went very profound straight away. He's quite a profound man. And yet Hamza lives the life of just being...
Which way are you going?
Hamza Sheeraz points.
I was so convinced you were going to say Amo. I was like, he's going Amo Williams. Again,
but I don't know.
Again, people listening, we could change our minds come fight night. We might do a pod together. We might do a fight night extra on Thursday or Friday. I think it needs it. This is the tough one for me. This one I find really tough to call. Both so confident in their own way, both good at the weight. Hamza's massive, Amo's solid and athletic. I think I'm going Amo. Without any conviction, I think I'm going Amo.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It's a tough one.
He's a fascinating character, isn't he?
He really is.
With his tiger tail, he's wearing his tiger tail and his gloves, and he's. I was talking to him about Ryan Garcia yesterday, and I said, "You must get Ryan Garcia being who you are." I said, "I totally get him. He's being himself," and he said the key is he is being, BEING, and that is what I feel. I am being. And I tell you what, anyone with that level of self-discovery about themselves who's fighting in a ring isn't a very, very intriguing and fascinating human being.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that he's obviously had issues, as we know, with his mental state, but he seems so on track now. And it's so good to see that he's on track and he's motivated and he's got a great team around him and he's just a wonderful, beautiful human being. And I could say the same about Hamza, a lovely guy, lovely team. I'm so split on this one, but I'm going to Amma. I think you've got Hamza. We might switch. We might change our minds. Who knows? All right, another 50-50. Ray Ford versus Nick Ball. Remember, this is for Raymond Ford's WBA featherweight title. This is a tough one to call as well. This is why this card's so good, because this is, again, a tough one. I have absolutely no idea how this plays out. You've got the wrecking ball, Nick Ball. You've got the slick, almost Shakur Stevenson-like style of a Ray Ford. What style do you like, Gareth?
Well, this should be a unification for a start, because I think Nick Ball should be a world champion right now, and everybody believes it. Many people felt, as I did, that he defeated Ray Vargas out here earlier in the year. Heart says Nick Ball, but my head says Raymond Ford. I just think Ford's slickness will be able to handle the relentlessness that Nick Ball brings. Ford may be a little tight at the weight. I know that he is struggling a little bit to get to featherweight, but I just think he'll have marginally more, and I'm going for Ford on points.
Yeah, this one, I think I agree. I spoke to Ray Ford yesterday. I asked him about the weight, and he said, look, no featherweight makes featherweight easy. It's a tough weight to make. But he came out here a week earlier just to get acclimatized, get the heat, and he looked good. He's got this very confidence / arrogance about him, which a lot of those American fighters have. And I'm going for Ford as well on points, but he's going to have to come through something crazy in the early rounds. All right, this one, I think, me and Gareth had dinner last night, people, and I think we disagree on this one. Hutchinson versus Craig Richards.
Yeah, I'm going out on a limb here. I've got a lot of belief in Willie Hutchinson. I don't think people have seen that much of him. He's an extraordinarily talented amateur, won the amateur world title. Listen, you can go back and say people like Frankie Gavin won the world title at amateur but didn't produce fully in the pros. But I just think difficult that the Spider is, long that he is, comfortable as he is in the office. I just think Willie Hutchinson may be able to outfiddle him in there and get a points victory. I'm going for the outsider. He's a big outsider. It's a big step up, but I think he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, no, look, he is the outsider in this, but I think we've seen so far during Riyadh season that the outsiders sometimes get the job done. Agit Kabayel, Frank Sanchez, Joseph Parker's done a couple of big ones, so it can happen. I just feel like I don't know. I was there when Hutchinson was getting interviewed yesterday by Darren Barker. He looked a bit heavy for me, and I just wonder about the weight. Craig Richards looked really on point. He's had a couple of good, even in defeats, a couple of good performances against Boatsi and Bivol, and I think he needs a big one. I think he's desperate for a big one. And I'm going Craig Richards. But again, look, these are so close fights. It's why the event is so special. Very quickly, before we wrap here, Bivol versus Malik Zinad. I feel so disappointed for Bivol. This would have been the fight of all fights, him against Beterbiev. They're talking about doing it in October for the start of Riyadh season. He stays on the card, which is important. He gets active, he gets paid. And you never know. Malik Zinad's coming in with all the pressure on Dimitri Bivol to perform here. And you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going for Dimitri Bivol by late stoppage or points. But Malik Zinad will be looking at this as his lottery-winning moment, plucked from, not obscurity, because he is ranked in the top 15 in the world, but he's been plucked from obscurity. He's got massive opportunity. He's really up for it, but Bivol's too good, in my view, to let this go.
Yeah. Finally, Gareth, very quick, I just want to jump back, if we can, to Hrgovic, Daniel Dubois. There was a lot of talk, and obviously you know this, about the IBF title being on the line. There was talk about the IBF stripping Usyk as soon as he became undisputed, or whoever became undisputed. Obviously, Usyk won that night. Usyk's team have put out a plea, if you like, to the IBF saying, look, can you let us keep our belts so we can do the rematch in it, be undisputed again? So no belt on the line for Hrgovic, Daniel Dubois, it seems. What would you make of that? Fair, or should they have let Hrgovic, Dubois battle it out? Like, how long can people be waiting in the queue for these world title opportunities?
Well, this is how long is the piece of string on this scenario? They clearly want to have a second undisputed title fight in October, Fury and Usyk and Fury. They clearly, in another way, want the IBF title to be on the line at some point. Whether it gets freed up, I think we might learn more about the IBF belt after the weekend, depending on who wins in the Hrgovic-Dubois fight. Because the rumour is, of course, that Anthony Joshua will fight the winner at Wembley Stadium on September the 21st. Look, in a way, it does matter. In a way, it doesn't matter. In a way, it's insolvable. In a way, we're always going to have this problem. There are 4 world titles in 17 weight divisions. So, in fact, there's 1 in Bridgerweight as well, isn't there now? So it's like it's an inexact science. It's incorrect. It will always be. TV companies and promoters want belts. Sanctioning bodies want their fees every time there's a title fight involving their belt. The IBF are very strict on their rules sometimes. It's never going to be. It's never going to be a satisfactory scenario, in my view. And we know that Fury versus Usyk versus Fury, the second fight, is about the championship of each other now. It's not necessarily for the undisputed. And it's about the pathway to who fights Joshua next, really.
Yeah. I feel like the belts, I don't like to see the belts scattered, but I feel like everyone's been patient in allowing this undisputed to happen. Obviously, Fury had his knock against Ngannou. Obviously, he was allowed to do that. And I feel like fighters below them have just been patient. And there's fighters there that are knocking on the door for world title opportunities. Joseph Parker, Agit Cabello, Hrgovic, AJ. And I feel like they deserve opportunities now that these guys have had the undisputed. We've seen it now. We can wait a few more years to see it again.